Hello everyone, Giltar here with an overview of 3 Transformers Prime Voyager class figures. For today, we'll be looking at the Voyager class First Edition Optimus Prime, Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime, and Beast Hunters Optimus Prime. Now, I'm doing an overview rather than a single review of any one of these toys, simply because all 3 of these figures have been released for some time now. They've all been extensively reviewed by many other people. So I don't want to retread ground by doing the standard sort of review of the figures and demonstrate the articulation, the transformation process, and all the other details that pretty much most people already know about at this point. So what I'd like to do is basically in one go give a bit of a summary on each of the toys and share my thoughts on them. This isn't actually meant to be any sort of like one toy is better than the other, not by any means. I'll say right up front that I think all 3 of these toys are great toys. I really like each and every one of them for their own strengths and their own unique reasons. That's not to say that they're all simply great figures without any flaws. I do think there are some weak points. So starting on the left, we have First Edition Optimus Prime, the first Voyager class Optimus Prime toy to come out for the Transformers Prime franchise. Now, I think the biggest weakness of this toy is not really anything to do with the toy itself. In fact, it's to do with the limited numbers and limited, I guess, distribution that the toy has experienced. The first edition toy line was given a really limited distribution. Originally, during the first production run, only certain Toys R Us locations throughout the world were able to have these toys on the shelves. Some online retailers were able to acquire some units of these toys as well, but aside from that, they pretty much sold out fairly quickly. And at that point, if you weren't lucky enough or fortunate enough to get one of the first edition toys, and you had to go to the secondary market, basically people selling these toys were inflating the price extremely high. We're talking 2 to 3 times above the normal price. So, for example, a Voyager toy in North America can range between $20 to $30. I saw many sales, sort of auctions on eBay, for example, where this particular toy was selling for $80 or more, not even including shipping, which I think is ridiculous. However, that point aside, it's a really good toy. I think, looking at the toy itself, the strong point would be robot mode. I think it has a really, really good visual design, a great silhouette. It looks good from all angles. And in vehicle mode, it's not as good in my opinion. I find that in vehicle mode, the first edition Optimus Prime looks distorted, a bit stretched out, and not very pleasing to my eyes in terms of its proportions. But aside from that, it has good articulation, again, a really good visual design, a fairly good degree of likeness to the animation model. I think if we simply take a look at these 3 toys and at a glance, I would say the first edition toy looks sort of the best. It has the most, I think, appealing heroic proportions, with broad shoulders and chest, tapered to the waist, and long legs. I think it just has, again, the sort of ideal heroic proportions in a humanoid form. A couple of things I'm not a big fan of for this toy is the soft rubber used for the smokestacks, for the sword accessory that I don't have displayed here. However, I really do like the gun. Even though it's not show accurate in that it's not like the silver metal color that we see on the show, I do like that it is the sort of black color that is the classic Optimus Prime ion blaster or gun color that we've seen in toys in the past. One other thing I'm not a big fan of for this toy is the fake chest kibble. I think toys of Voyager class size or larger really have no excuse to have fake kibble. However, I do think that this particular toy design required fake kibble for the chest, but again, I think the designers could have found another way around it, which moves us to the next figure, which is the middle one, the Robots in Disguise Voyager Optimus Prime. And in this figure, in this toy, it does have sort of the same window section in vehicle or alt mode as it does in robot mode. So as we can see, the designers were able to figure out another way to utilize the vehicle windows to be also the chest portion of the robot form. Now, as you can see, the Robots in Disguise toy is the smallest of the three. Visibly, immediately, it is the runt of the pack. That is one detriment to the toy that a lot of people have a common issue with. This toy was released during the time where Hasbro and Takara Tomy were really downsizing and scaling back the size of their Transformers toys. And yeah, as you can see here, it's quite noticeable. Another issue with the toy that I agree with and that many people have is simply the Powerizer weapon gimmick, which was basically a sort of spring-loaded, light-up LED light gun type of deal. I really don't like the design. I think it is a failure on all fronts. I think the money, or rather the budget set aside for that gimmick in the toy design could have been better used in the rest of the toy for improving the design. Namely, the back panels, the back kibble on the toy, these two large red panels essentially that are basically, I believe, the side of the truck form. And the problem with that is it really looks messy. From basically the front of the toy, it ruins the silhouette. I think if you actually removed those parts from the toy and looked at it in robot mode, it would have a very similar silhouette to the first edition toy. However, with those back panels, that back kibble, the look of the toy is completely ruined. It distracts and draws the eye away, and it muddles what is otherwise, I think, a visually appealing design. Another issue with the toy is also just the fact that because of the Powerizer gimmick, we have clear blue plastic in the forearms, which really serve no purpose. I think the idea behind the placement of the clear plastic was that for the Powerizer gimmick, it would also illuminate the forearms, which didn't really work at all. So it was a wasted gimmick in terms of the gun accessory. It's also a waste of a gimmick in terms of the functionality of the clear plastic of the forearms. Aside from that, though, I really do like the toy. To me, it is the most, I would say, functional in terms of articulation. The first edition and the Beast Hunters Optimus Primes, for example, do have some more limited joints. Both of them, for example, have swivel shoulders rather than the ball joint shoulders we find in the Robots in Disguise version. Also, the Robots in Disguise toy has a ball joint neck, whereas the first edition and Beast Hunter Optimus Primes here have only swivel joint necks, which really reduces the personality one can give the toy when posing for display, because they can only basically look left and right. They can't look up or down and any other point in between. Aside from that, though, I really do like the Robots in Disguise toy. The alternate mode is actually pretty good. I mean, it is still kind of toyish in terms of a truck design, but it is definitely by far more proportionate than the first edition in vehicle mode. And aside from that, though, I think also just like with the first edition, this toy, the main strength is in robot form. In vehicle form, it's not that impressive, to be honest. Last but not least, on the right side is the Beast Hunters Voyager class Optimus Prime toy, the latest Voyager Optimus Prime to be introduced into the Transformers Prime toy franchise. And I have to say, I really like it a lot. I mean, out of the three, it is the most toy-like upon a glance. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think, first of all, it's a good thing that Takara Tomy and Hasbro are moving back to the larger class size for the Voyager toys. And as you can see here, it's pretty much equal in stature to the first edition toy. And in some ways, it's even more bulky with the larger arms and legs. Although, because of the large appearance of the proportions of the toy, it does have a sort of really tiny head for the rest of the body, which some people aren't a big fan of. I don't mind. To me, it almost looks like Optimus Prime is upgraded and wearing like extra pieces of armor almost. Now, one of the great things I think about this toy is that it's something that is hefty. It is lighter than one would expect, but it is something that a kid could pick up and feel like, wow, this is like a really great, sort of big toy to play around with in the, in the yard, at the sandbox, wherever it is that, kids like to play with their toys outside today. And I think also in vehicle form, it looks pretty chunky as well, which I think is an appealing point. Some people describe it as kind of like a Mad Max version of an Optimus Prime toy. A lot of people, including myself, also see a lot of visual cues referencing the Galaxy Force or Cybertron cartoon version of Optimus Prime, which had a very similar appearance in vehicle form. In robot form, it also has parts that are basically wings, which I think are a nice touch to this toy, and again, a really nice reference or homage to the Cybertron Optimus Prime design. As far as weapon accessories go, I think of the three, it definitely has the best sort of close combat weapon, which is this green-bladed Star Saber. I think it just looks great. However, the other two guns, ionic pulse launchers, I think are what they're called on the box. They're okay. They're not bad. I think for a gun, the best one of the three goes to the first edition. For me, I prefer to use the gun accessories for Beast Hunters Optimus Prime as sort of like jet thrusters or propellant tanks, and I like to peg them into the wings of the robot form for that kind of visual appearance. One thing to bring up is the fact that it is something that has a sort of distinctive difference between this and other Prime toys, which are the green colored clear plastics. Some people really have vocalized their dislike for the use of green plastic for the clear parts. Some have speculated that it'll be explained in the Beast Hunters season of the cartoon, season 3. And if so, that's great. You know, I actually don't have a problem with the use of the green plastic. Some people don't like it simply because it's not the classic and iconic blue color that Optimus Prime usually has for the color of its eyes and chest window parts. But I don't mind it. I think the green actually really complements and matches well with the rest of the color scheme. So personally, I don't really think it's a big deal. So overall, I would say all three are good toys for sure. Great toys, depending on your preferences. I think that basically the first edition on the left side is the most sort of ideal Transformers Prime, Optimus Prime toy. The Beast Hunters on the far right is kind of like a compromise between, I think, toy functionality where it's intended for children, and also some references and homages to Optimus Primes of the past, which I think is a really neat thing. And then in the middle, the Robots in Disguise Prime is kind of like a really good toy that was hindered by poor design choices. I think that, again, if we got rid of the Power Riser gimmick and used the budget that was set aside for that part of the toy design and put it into, for example, basically the back kibble, if the back kibble was given a few extra hinges to allow it to fold up and compress more on the back in a way similar to the first edition Optimus Prime toy, it would be like improved visually tenfold and not as nearly sort of, I guess, unfairly criticized as it is normally by many people who collect the Transformers Prime toys. A lot of people really don't like this version of Optimus Prime, mainly because of the back kibble. But overall, I think that you really can't go wrong with any one of these three Voyager class Optimus Prime toys. They all bring something unique to the table. I really like the fact that in a single sort of branch of the Transformers franchise, we have three different sublines that offer three different versions of an Optimus Prime Voyager class toy with unique molds, unique design choices, and despite the flaws that I find in any of them, I think they're all really enjoyable toys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got something out of it. As usual, I thank you very much for your time and thank you for watching. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you at the next video.